he could meet you on Friday. He was heading down this morning, so I got him early this morning and said, hey, it's already done. And he says in Texas, especially some markets, you have to kind of like pull the trigger a little faster. And so we got to kind of think about that too. But he says some markets in Texas, you know, you have to kind of, because a lot of people are going after the same deal. That was over 100 units, and there's no competition when it's over 100 units.
Yeah, but at least we've got an idea. If we see another property in that area, we're pretty much all set up in terms of the rents, comps, and what have you. So we've got a leg up.
It's a good exercise. It's a good exercise.
And we've got a underwriting template we can use a second time that's more sophisticated and keeps getting better. So
it's true.
Yeah, chalk it under experience.
There we go.
Awesome. I think
is Hamid joining too?
Hamad, you mean?
Hamad. I keep saying his name. Yeah, is he coming?
No, Hamad. Yeah, thanks to Hamad who referred Jimmy to us. But unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to join because he's actually visiting his family in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the borders are open?
I guess so. And also,
so he can go across because he has a Canadian passport. So he has to prove he has been vaccinated and a 72-hour negative COVID test.
Oh, I see.
Same for Europe too. That's the same thing for Europe. You can go back and forth if you have a dual citizenship. My son has dual citizenship, so he's going back and forth to Germany a lot. So,
interesting.
Cool.
That's awesome. I think we'll continue to have a few people joining, dialing in, but I think we can get started. So I know there's quite a few people who couldn't make it, and they've posted in the section a few times, make sure this is recorded. So I see this recorded, and also I know where to put the recording as well. So we'll be in good shape for anyone who may miss the session. And also Hamad actually worked with Jimmy on a one-on-one basis. So that's probably one of, so I guess Hamad isn't missing out too much since he already knew the content. So
absolutely.
Yeah, let me just do a quick intro on our speaker. You guys already saw the shorter version of it, but oh, Hamad is joining. Okay, dedication here. So Jim Newson is the founder of Jimmy Newson Consulting. It's a business consulting and advising firm. Clients usually call him the impact influencer because of his extraordinary results. He's also the senior advisor for the New York Marketing Association, the founder of Moving Forward Small Businesses, a global effort to save 1 million businesses from failing by 2050. So dubbed the impact influencer for the outstanding results he achieves for his clients, Jimmy Newson is the founder for what we just talked about. Sorry, I'm repeating. So, so he has a lot of certifications from Google, HubSpot, SEMR, Rush, and he also has national clients such as AT&T, AOL, Microsoft. And his strategy will really skyrocket your profits and ensure you have attractive ROI to make your investment worthwhile. And yeah, also come highly recommended by our beloved colleague, Hamad. So without further ado, Jimmy, I would like to welcome you and just take it over. And thank you for sending the PowerPoint and stuff for us to read over ahead of time. So yeah, feel free to take over.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Maisi and Hamad, thank you, sir, for inviting me to come in and hang out and chat with you lovely folk this afternoon, evening, I guess. It's still afternoon for everybody, I suppose.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, is it like 1 o'clock there?
California.
11 o'clock.
Cali.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Cali now. Okay. Yeah.
We're national.
Nice.
We're international.
Oh, that's right. You're in Canada at the moment. So, well, I'm in New York, so it's hot everywhere, I think. So, today I'm going to keep this very loose. I have a few slides I'll pull up more to kind of drill in a point, talk about a number of strategies that we use. So I'm going to go a bit high level here. I like to make it extremely interactive. I at the end of the day, I want you guys to walk away with some ideas and strategies and structures that you can leverage and do. And my evolution over the let's just say the last 12 months has been tremendous. in regards to the things that we do, my organization does, and the industry and businesses in general. So today I'm going to be talking about the inbound marketing methodology. If anyone's familiar with that, if not, it encompasses every single thing you could possibly do online, and it puts it in a place. And that really helps you understand, if you're doing social media, where should it be? If you're doing ads, where should it be? If you're working on your website, where does that fall in regards to your ideal customer, you as a business, the channels you determine that you want to use, and the presentation actually I did with Hamad was actually on lead magnets, which is a part of lead generation. What we're going to do today is I'm going to be talking about the entire system online, which can at the end of the day also be transferred offline. So when you have all these pieces together, it really gives you a better opportunity to look at the 50-foot view of your organization, you as a professional, as an expert, and go, how do I leverage this information now to grow my business, to build my authority, to build trust with the audience, and make sure that everything that I do really counts towards the positive. Okay. So I'm going to probably throw a few buzzwords out there. Stop me and go, hey.
I got my ticket. That's first thing. Got my ticket, man. So we'll be.
We hear somebody in the background.
I'm gonna go to
Can you mute yourself, Aaron?
Sorry, Aaron.
Aaron. Thank you.
I was like, I got ventriloquist going on right now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just showing a chart here, and I'm just going to kind of walk through that chart. And after that, we can kind of start to have a conversation around that. So let me see if I can share my screen. I can here. So this here is what's known as the inbound marketing methodology. There's 4 stages to it. There's attract, connect, engage, and delight. So attract is when someone doesn't know you at all. And this is really what.
Sorry, Jimmy, I'm not seeing anything.
Your screen's,
doing?
there we go. There it is.
Yay. Okay. It gets like that sometimes. So strange. Okay. Here we go. So we have the inbound marketing methodology. So we have 4 stages: attract, connect, engage, and delight. So we're going to walk through each of these. And what I want you guys to look at is, what are you guys currently doing? What are you missing? Or what step are you, so you can determine what the next step may be for you and your business. And I decided to go with this one after talking to Misi about not understanding where everyone's at. So this will kind of give us all an idea of how we can gauge where we're at. So when we're in the attract stage, we call this the top of the funnel. And these are strangers looking for solutions to problems, and how they find you is by the content that you're putting out there that's at the top of the funnel. Now, this could be blog posts. This is where your social media channels really play a huge part in discovery of your content, your brand, and you. Keywords that you may choose, and those keywords may live on your website. They may be part of your strategy for outreach when you're posting on social media, or creating content, and pages. And these pages represent specific pages on your website. So let's talk about your website for a second. Your website is not just a very beautiful, glorified business card. Every page on your website has an opportunity to be a doorway into your business. So the question is every page on your website optimized specifically for that type of conversion? So let's take your services pages. A lot of people would typically group all their services on a single page. So if you're doing that, you're decreasing the opportunity for exposure for every single service you have. Now, it's okay to have a page that has all your services, but then what I recommend is you take every service you have and break it out into an individual page. What that does is allows Google to look at that page specifically for that service and helps rank for that service. And in inbound, let me define inbound. Inbound is about leveraging content to bring in people that are looking for the products and services you have at the right time. So if they do a search for something and you come up, you're now a part of the conversation instead of interrupting their day. And that's what we want to look at when we look at every page on our website. Even your about page has a purpose. So that you define what that purpose is and then optimize that page for that search. So when it shows up, it's exactly what they're looking for. So now they can continue the process. So the track stage is at the top, and that's when you're looking for very broad terms, very broad topics that can bring people in. So it's not about your brand, it's about the topic of conversation that they're having and finding your content. Now, let's say they land there, you've attracted them through, say, your blog or your social media channels, your keywords or your pages. Well, you want them to connect with you. So if you don't give them an opportunity to connect, they're going to leave. So all that work that you did on driving people to your page from social media or from maybe a partner webinar or training program or whatever, they get to your website, they go, wow, this was a great article, and you don't give them a next step, or they left. They're going, hey, thanks for the great information. Now let me go to someone who's actually ready to engage me for that next level. So this is where Connect comes in. So how do you do that? So on these pages, whether it's your website or a landing page, which we call landing page, forms, contact page, we need to make sure that there's an opportunity for them to opt into something, schedule a call. And like I said, every single page, not just your contact page, every page needs to have some form of outlet. I'll give you a prime example. When I was working with an agency a few years back, we picked up a pretty big company that was, they're kind of like a Lowe's, but they're local. They have 4 locations. So when we picked them up, I did an audit of their website, and we found out that 52% of their traffic, because they were getting quite a bit of traffic, was going to a single page. And so when I went to that page, guess what I found? Tons of text and nothing else. There was no opportunity for them to see products. There was no opportunity for them to enter their email to opt into something. So what people would do is they bounce. After they got the information, they leave. So they were losing many opportunities because people were there for a reason. They have a problem or they have a goal they're trying to achieve. So if you're able to understand what your traffic looks like, what your website is, you need to make sure there's an opportunity for them to connect with you. So visitors at that point can now become leads. So what I would typically do, let's say a contact page, you just have a basic contact form. For most other pages, you want to be as specific as possible based on the page. Okay. So what would that look like? On the home page, it might be a lead magnet, something, a checklist, a resource guide, something that's a bit broad, but it can still attract the majority of the audience you're targeting. If it's a specific if it's a specific blog post, if you've categorized your blogs into certain sections, so let's take real estate. Maybe there's syndicated section. There's the multifamily section, and I'm just making up these words, but you get the idea. You might have a blog post or a call to action specific to each category. So no matter what blog post they're reading in that category, the call to action makes sense. The more aligned the call to action is to the page they're on, the better the opportunity for the conversion. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to pause for a second. Does anybody have any questions so far? And I'll keep going. Okay, no questions? Okay, we'll keep going. So once they've connected, they turn into a lead. The next thing we want to do is start to engage them. And this is probably one of the biggest places where I see massive fall off because you work so hard to get the lead, and now you just focus on getting more leads. You don't spend any time nurturing those people who have decided that they want to engage with you. So of course, one of the easiest forms of engagement is email. And you need to be emailing your list at least once a month, if not more. I would say at least twice a month with something relevant and informative. And if you're not emailing them, then at the end of the day, that list will go cold. They will ignore you. And some of them forget why they signed up to you in the first place and will actually mark you as spam. So, and you definitely don't want that, because that will go against your domain and your inbox. So email, there are workflows. If you're not using some type of CRM, you should definitely be using one at this point. And there are free ones. HubSpot is a free CRM, which allows you to do a lot of some of the work on some of the things I'm talking about here today. But if you're able to start to track this, the people that are in your system, in your email system, that are going to your website, there are plugins that you can install from your CRM, so you can build a history of what these individuals are doing. Now, this is good for two reasons. Number one, If you ever have to get on the phone with them, you literally can see their history and have a conversation based on what they've been doing, either through your email service provider or on your website. And two, if you decide to expand your business, someone else can walk in and take this off of your plate, and they're not starting from scratch. They can look at a potential prospect or a client's history and now be able to continue that conversation and deliver stellar support to them and continue to build that relationship. So we're talking about emails, workflows, lead scoring, if you have that ability with your CRM, and those integrations. And how I like to choose software. So I'm very big on software and technology. So because that really allows a small organization to do things that usually only the big guys could do. So we need to be able to compete with them. And in some cases, we might even be able to outperform them, especially when they're so big that they don't care about you anymore. Spirit Airlines. So, things like that, because it happens. So you want to, you marry these things together, technology with the fact that you can deliver incredible services and keep people happy equals a very successful business and very happy clientele. So after you've engaged them, they're now customers at that point, and now you need to delight them. And now that's really just connecting with them, seeing what they're doing, seeing what they might be downloading from your website, whether it's other lead magnets, pages that they're visiting, blog posts that they're visiting, products that they're purchasing, how you can continue to upsell that client that is already sold on who you are and what you stand for as a business. So that in itself is the inbound marketing methodology. So the question is, when I start with a client and look at this chart, I go, all right, so there's two questions I have for you. So the question one, do you not have enough leads? And if that's the question, we start at the beginning. But two, you may go, I have tons of leads, I just have no conversion. So now we have to look at what's going on in the middle of this inbound methodology that is not allowing these leads to convert and push through this system to the point where they make a decision either to use you or they make a decision not to use you. And I push people because I'd rather them tell me they don't want to use me. And when I say push, I'm not talking aggressively. I'm just talking through set up strategies and structures that allow me to say, hey, either make a decision or get off the fence, because at that point, I'd rather clean my list out and get more people on the list who actually want to be there versus one taking up space, costing me money, and bringing down my my delivery rates on my emails. So you're keeping a lot of these things in place. Now, whether you're dealing with maybe a handful of clients or you're dealing with hundreds of clients, there's some nuances to how we would set this thing up or how you would leverage this to help you determine, is this too much? Is it not enough? At the end of the day, you're still looking at you, the brand or the company, the organization, as the authority, and you're putting out content. Now, one thing you don't see on here is video, but video plays across all four of these platforms. At the beginning, the video is educational. In the middle, the video is transactional. Engaging is where the video starts to dive deep into things that they may not, they're only interested in because they've already invested time in the process. Let's say syndications or things like that. At the beginning, they don't know that they're looking for syndication opportunities. They may just be looking for a better place to put their money. So a better place to put their money is top of the funnel. Syndication strategies is at the middle to the bottom of the funnel. And so that's where you have to figure out what's the message and where should the message be placed on this timeline. And then the delight is, of course, being able to do things for them that they didn't ask for, but they find rewarding and they want to tell the word about it. Okay. So there's the inbound marketing methodology, but none of this works if you haven't targeted the right person. And that's where we get to understanding who is our target audience and who is our ideal persona. And I'll share this document here with you guys. I'll send this because it's a whole presentation you can go through. So let's talk about personas. So when we talk about personas, every product solves multiple problems. So the question is, how many different ways can you break your product out to solving a different product. So this here, I'm selling fire. I got fire for sale. I can sell fire 4 ways. 1 is cooking fire, 2 is heating fire, 3 is lighting fire, and 4 we call butt fire. That's for our entrepreneurs. We need a lot of fire under your butt to get things moving. Okay, so let's take a deeper dive. If I need to cook food so I don't starve to death, I want to sell you fire to help you not starve, because this can help you cook your food. Okay. Second one, if you want to stay warm and you live in Canada where Hamad is, you might need fire to stay warm. So I want to sell you fire so you and your family don't freeze to death, and you're going to use my heating fire. And then we got the lighting fire. So at the end of the day, it's not, for some strange reason, the sun goes down every day. And this is something that we can't figure out. So we're going to have to figure out a solution to not walking through our house and bumping our toe on a table. So we need some light. So I'm going to sell you some fire I call light fire that's going to help you see better when that sun goes down until it decides it wants to come back. And then, of course, there's that entrepreneurial fire where, you know, at the end of the day, you need some tough love. And I'm going to give you some tough love. So I'm going to light a fire under you. So that's 4 different ways I sold the same product. Now, the key here is not that I sold it 4 different ways. The key is there's 4 different avatars that I'm targeting here. There's 4 different types of people that have 4 different types of needs for the same product. And when you try to group all this stuff into one, if you're running an ad or you're writing a blog post or you're creating an ebook, you want to address only one of them. And then you want to gear that one towards a very specific audience. At that time, you're narrowing the focus, but you're increasing the opportunity for a sale, because now you're only talking about cooking to people who are interested in cooking, period. You're not talking about lighting or heating or butt fire. You're talking about only cooking. So anybody that's interested in cooking will resonate with that specific blog post, that specific ebook. And that's where the persona comes in. So when you come back to doing things like creating this funnel, this inbound strategy, this strategy is really based on one of the reasons why a product exists and targeting a specific persona that would buy that. So you create that entire system using that one persona with that one problem. Now, can we have overlapping problems? Yeah, you can. But if you want to have effectiveness, the more you can put the blinders on and focus, the better your results at the end of the day. So for investors invest for different reasons. So focus on a persona that invests for a very specific reason, create content around that, and building a funnels for them to go from attraction all the way to delight. Perfect that, and then you can do it all over again with a different persona with the same product or different product. Okay, so let's dive deep into what needs to be developed for persona. How do you go about building out a persona? So I sent this doc over, and this is a HubSpot doc, is how to create a buyer persona for your business. So what are the things that need to go in here? So I'm going to walk you through. They have an example in here of a person, and we're going to call her Sample Sally. Now, before I go through this, 2 of the most important things for me when I do a persona are their problems and their problems and problems with the solution, or their goals, because those are the emotional triggers that are usually the reasons why people make a decision to make a purchase the most. The other stuff is trivial. You're just targeting people based on their behaviors or things about them. But the emotional trigger for someone to want to buy a product or service now or later is based on them either getting out of something or trying to achieve something. Okay, so now let's look at a persona. So if we want to do a complete persona on a single type of person, we're going to call her Sample Sally, but we may call her Investor Sally. Okay, and we look at her background, her job, career path, family. You know, she's the head of human resources. She works at the same company for 10 years. Worked her way up from HR associate. She's married with 2 children. This is good to know for a lot of different reasons, especially when you start crafting marketing messages that she's going to immediately go, wow, because it's not just about, hey, buy my stuff, hey, buy my stuff, hey, buy my stuff. the more personalized you can make it for someone to relate to it, the more there's going to be an emotional connection, and they're going to feel almost like a warm feeling inside about your product, and now they want to know more. That's why car companies are great at that. You look at car companies, they don't advertise the car, they advertise everything you could possibly do with the car. Go hiking, go on a date, hang out with your friends, go tailgating. And then the car just happens to be one of the ways that you can do all this fun stuff. And that's because they understand who their target audience is, and they put the car into the situation, not the other way around. Okay. So the more demographics, is it male, is it female, the age, income, location. So we can see, for this one, this persona skews more female versus male. The age range is 30 to 45, dual household income of 140K, suburban. Now here's some identifiers. Now we're going to get a little bit deeper than the basic demographics that most of you may already be using. She has a calm demeanor. She probably has an assistant screening her calls. She asked to receive collateral print material. Now this is important because if you're trying to run ads to her, maybe she doesn't like it. So you might have to switch up your marketing strategy and go, maybe I need to do direct mail, for this particular persona. Okay. And that's why you want to know. Now, and we're going to talk about how we get this information after I go through this. Now, like I said, here's where this is the part I like: the goals, primary and secondary goals, and then the challenges, the primary and secondary challenges. Her goals are to keep her employees happy and turnover low. Another goal is to help support legal and finance teams. Okay. So you might go, okay, that's great. Let's see what that means in the bigger picture. Challenges that she might have is getting everything done with a small staff, and also rolling out changes to the entire company. These are challenges for her. She's in HR, so she probably spends a lot of time trying to get the people in the company to adopt things, especially when it's being done wrong, or there's a new rule that came out, and now she's got to get everybody's buy-in on, hey, well, you can't say that anymore, or you can't do this anymore, or here's a new law that passed that says we have to follow these new rules. So what can we do? So how can we help them solve these problems? So this is how you now position your product. So you might go, based on her goals and her challenges, what we do is we make it easy to manage all employee data in one place, helping them solve some of the challenges and achieve some of the goals. We also integrate with legal and finance team systems. Now you can see how your product really does support them based on the things they're trying to achieve or the things that they're having issues with. And you're positioning your product or yourself as a consultant or as someone in a position that you're using language that they're going to go, yeah, this person is talking my language. I need to check into this a little bit further. Let me see. I just want to take a look at the chat if you haven't shown me. All right, so that's nothing for me. Okay, so we'll keep going. We're almost done. Now, it would be great if you could have actual real quotes. So it sounds like a lot of you already do have clients. A lot of you do have situations that, as I heard a little bit of the chatter at the beginning before we started, you want to get real quotes from people about, issues that they have before they have your product. It's been difficult getting company-wide adoption for new technologies in the past. So you can ask them, what were the problems you were having before you engaged with me? I know, how long have you been wanting to invest and what kept you from investing? And now you're going to get a wealth of knowledge that you're now going to actually flip and use in your marketing message. And because if one person's having the problem, I guarantee you others are too. It's that whole typical situation where you're in a classroom, one person asks a question and you realize if that person has a question, there's probably at least 10 more people in the room that have that same question. So you want to be able to get real quotes from them on what was the painful issue? What is the painful issue? It doesn't start before they buy from you. It might be while they're buying for you, because now you can look at ways of improving your product, and you're basing it on real data versus what you think is wrong. Okay. And then you want to look at common objectives. Why would someone not want to work with you? Why would someone not want to engage your services? Why would someone not want to engage the industry? And you address that head up front, that immediately starts to knock down walls. And so when you're knocking down those walls, you're immediately doing a number of things. You're building authority, you're building trust, and you're building your experience where they're going, yeah, that is a problem. And if you're telling me that that's really not a problem and you're giving me solutions on how I could get around that, well, now you got my attention, and keep in mind, for me, I never even have mentioned the name of my company at this point. It's always about them, at least for the first half of this journey. 70% of the research for someone looking for services online usually happens before they engage a brand or an organization. So this content needs to be consumer specific and really focused on the consumer. Because I'll give you an example. We're doing ebooks for people, and they're like, "Hey, can you get my logo on the front page?" I'm like, if I have any choice, I would like to say no. I really don't care about your logo. I'm like, I'd rather see your logo at the end of the book after you've delivered value, because they're not interested in your logo or your company. They're interested in the problem they're having or the goal they're trying to achieve. And if you stay on focus, stay on point, and you get that for them, now they're going to ask, well, this was great. I solved the problem. All right, but I still need help. And they're going to go, oh, well, I should probably call them, because at the end of this ebook or this thing that you produce, you're going to go, and by the way, we've sold $500 million in real estate equity in the last 10 years. And we can help you too, if this is truly something you want to do. If this is really a goal for you for financial stability in the future, for for tax-free or tax-based income, or whatever you want to pitch it. But now it's not about, you have to use me because I'm the best. Is you have to use me because you need this solved. One of my mentors says it's best. He goes, you don't need new clients need you. So you have to figure out how you position yourself so those clients realize, I really need to work with this person, if I want to do this thing. Okay. So we're looking at the common objectives, and then the final thing, and like I said, this is where the marketing message, you start to craft the marketing message based on all this data that you're getting about your target audience. And then you craft your elevator pitch. We give you an intuitive database that integrates with your existing software and platforms and lifetime training to help your new employees get caught up to speed quickly. Do you think that answers a lot of her questions and issues and goals and concerns? It definitely does. And that's just one. And you can have up to 5 different personas. So you may go, Jimmy, I cater to a lot of different people. So you create one based on the 5 best people, but only start with one. If you haven't done this before, do one and get used to it. And then, and I say, use your lowest hanging fruit. So who's your best investor ever? And if you go, is Sally, then you want to craft the structure for 1,000 Sallys. I'm not interested in Junes or Bob's or Billy's. I only want, what is her name? I only want Sally's. And because you'll still get the other ones. They'll just come by default, but you're being specific and you're being intentional on a specific type of individual. So if you've got this document, you can now go in and start playing around with this information. So here is, so you'll have this docket, and I sent it in PowerPoint presentation, so you can literally make versions. So there's actually a number of different templates. So you can create as many as you want and start playing around with it. So if you're not doing that, this is key, because it does more than help you determine it helps you determine more than who the person is you're trying to sell. It helps you fine tune the message about your products and services in general. It's just a great exercise to do. And you can even use, like HubSpot has a Make My Persona tool where you can actually do it digitally. Now you still need to do this research in advance, so you have something to fill out, unless you just happen to know a lot about your audience, what their problems are, what their goals are. So every chance you get to get on a call with someone, start crafting into your message questions like that. So Lisa, we just started talking, but why did you decide to reach out to me? Why did you decide to finally book the call? And sometimes you can even put that in your mail. I use my signups. my calendar for everything. So, and I should do it more. You know, I think about some of the calendars. So unfortunately, there's not enough time in the day, but you pick your battles. But you can use this as a tool. Now, this is a tool I actually ran across today, and I plan on testing it out, because if you don't have clients or you don't have access to the clients because you either work for a bigger organization, or you just don't have the time and energy to try to figure out how do I do this myself, this here is a way to get that audience information. And I'm going to test it out. I'm just going to show you here. So I'm not making any money on this. I just thought it was a cool tool and I thought I'd show you. So I can go, I want 100 surveys filled out. I'm going to do 1 to 5 questions. Maybe I'll ask one screening question before they fill it out. And it's actually updating this in real time, how much that's going to cost me. And then I can build out the demographic. So if I know my demographic, I can start to choose it. Now it looks like it adds a bit of money here, but at least now you could actually, let's say let me interview 200 people because I have a product I want to roll out. And before I roll it out, I want to understand what their thoughts are on, you know, investing in multifamily homes, or investing in single family homes, or retirement, or whatever it is. You know, this is a great tool that might be able to give you the answers to those questions that you now can go back and use in your persona. That's going to help you to develop the marketing material and the content in your funnel to help bring in the right people. So you're having the right conversation with the right people at the right time. That itself is inbound marketing. Okay. With that, I'm going to be quiet for a second and open it up for questions, ideas, ahas, and if you have specific questions, I could answer for you.
Thank you, Jimmy. That was a lot of good golden nuggets there. Appreciate it. Actually, I do have some questions. I was going through the avatar form, and in the goals section, are we just talking about the most relevant goals? Like, for example, you know, most of us here, we're trying to fund the money for our deals, putting in a few simple words. So are we just trying to talk about their financial goals, or do we dive deeper, like say, you know, they want a balanced life, or they want security in their life, or they want work-life balance? I don't know. Like, how deep do you go into that to, yeah.
Well, you go as deep as you can. Now, the more it's tied to their life, that's deep, because people want to do those things. They don't want to, people do want to do it because it's a financial gain, but people really want to do it sometimes because they just want to be happy. They don't want to have to worry about the future, their family. You know, they want to pass it down to the next generation, you know. So the more personal, the better, because those are emotional triggers. You know, if I have to buy software, if I want to buy software, you know, I of course I have a direct need for the software. But if the software is going to make my life easier, that is what I want, because I got way too much stuff going on in my life and I need to simplify it. So you have to determine what are the triggers. And that's why it's not up to you to determine what the goal is. You really need to ask them, well, why? Because if you ask them, why did you buy from me? You're thinking technically, they're thinking emotionally. And they're going to go, you know what? I've tried so many different ones and they're crying and no one could do it. And when I ran across you, I said, thank God, you know, finally. And you're going, okay, yeah, you're right now, you're like gold. And that's what you want, because those are the things that you're gonna sprinkle in the page to go, you know, if you're tired of, if you've done this over and over with no results, if you've been burned because, and they're going, yep. And so now they're going, are you any different? Because you're wearing it on your sleeve. You're going, I get it. I understand and I know, but let me tell you how I can help this. And I can't 100% guarantee you that this would never happen, but I can 100% guarantee you that I will always be present with you. And if there is a problem, you can bring it to my attention and let's address it. And they got to respect that honesty.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. I do have some other questions, but I'll let others ask first. Yep.
Don't be shy.
It seems like what you just, Ahmad, was that you?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Sorry, I'm just gonna make a very quick comment. I think, Jimmy, one of the conversations we've had a lot here is around content creation, and with the poll you just showed us, I think that's another great way to create a lot of content as well. When people, show us what their pain points are.
Yeah.
Just want to highlight that.
And I'll show you a tool that I actually use to do that. So I actually have a tool for that.
Perfect.
So John, please go ahead, sir.
I was going to ask, so what you're describing is something we call a platform, right? You're building a platform for potential client engagement and funneling them to your site, and ultimately having those participants become an investor. So all these mechanics that are going into the website and the website itself, how much should we be prepared to invest to build a minimal tool that does this type of thing? Obviously, it can always be better, but at a minimum, for people just getting started, what should they expect to spend on a decent site that has these mechanics that you described?
Well, if you have the site in place, which I hope most of everybody has a site.
I don't have a site yet.
You don't have a site yet? Okay,
No.
so then the site is the first.
I'm working from a different angle, but but ultimately, I would expect to have a site.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what should I be thinking about?
Sure. So the site is your foundation. So usually before I try to do any marketing, we have to fix our foundation. The foundation is the most important thing. So depending on the platform, you can use box services like Wix or Shopify or BigCommerce, depending on what you're doing.
Sure.
Or you can build it. All the sites we prefer to use are WordPress based, which require a lot more work, but they're a lot more flexible and they have the room for growth, the best type of growth that we like. So if you were to do that, it could cost you anywhere from $1,500 up to build a website from scratch. Or if you're using a platform, it could be $99 for the first month. It's just now that's on top of, are you building the site or are you going to hire someone to build that site for you on that site? So you're still going to run into, you should be looking at the spend at least $1,000 to build a decent site that can now grow with you. And like I said, $1,000 if you're using a box structure, and it could be $500, but you get what you pay for.
But you're saying these sites would include all the hooks you're describing to engage. Yeah. Okay, so in terms of getting a site to that level where it has all these engagement mechanisms, and you have to farm it out to somebody, what is a good budgetary range people should consider to have a decent apparatus set up to do what you described in the presentation today?
You're going to be looking at, if you want to do all the bells and whistles, you're looking at $3,000 to $5,000.
Okay.
If you want to get all of that stuff in there, and then it also depends on the experience of the person. And you want to find out from your web designer, do they have any marketing skills? Because that's two different things. Mm-hmm. Someone will build a website and then we have to come in and fix it.
Right.
So if you can find a web designer that will take into account the marketing, because that's stage 2. Because once the website is done and it's to a point where, okay, we can go live, there's at least a call to action. You've done all your pre-work in regards to making sure the content is done in advance, because the content will determine how many pages that you want to create, which pages need to be created, which ones are more important than not. You're, like I said, if you do around $3,000 to $5,000, you're going to come together with a good strategy, and that could include the basic content for the site.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so let me. I want to show you a tool I use, and there's a free version to it, but it's limited. But I'll show it to you. This is I call this my Swiss Army knife of digital marketing. But before I do that, do I have any other questions? Nope. Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Just for someone getting started in this area, what are the top 1 or 2 things you recommend them doing to narrowing down their avatars or personas?
Okay, so specifically for the persona is what we're talking about right now, right?
Yeah, persona or avatar / I think they're similar.
You really just need to start talking to people. One of the things I always say, if you already are in conversation with prospects or leads or actual clients, go through the emails of the last 6 months and see what questions they've asked you. That's always a great way to go. They're having a problem. You know, another one is, like I said, is to go ahead. I'd love to pick your brain for 10 minutes, you know, and the last is just create a survey and send it out to as many people as you can. You know, if you send it out directly to them, there's a better opportunity that they may fill it out for you. If you send it out in a blast, you know, you may get a 3 to 5% conversion rate. But if you got a pretty big list, you're getting some good data. So at the end of the day, you have to figure out what's on their mind and who are they, and ask the right questions. You know, and the questions, you know, you want to tie the question back to your product without mentioning the product. You know, you're trying to solve this problem. You know, what has been the issue? You know, when it comes to this, you know, when I do webinars or something, I may ask the question, when it comes to marketing your business, what's your biggest challenge? You know, so that's very broad, but I'm looking for multiple different things. And then if I see some crossover, now I know I've got a topic. Or I can be specific when it comes to SEO. You know, what is your biggest challenge? Now that's a part of the digital marketing world. Okay. So you just have to determine, well, what are the questions and what am I going to use to base on, so I can determine what it is that I'm, you know, how I'm going to, you know, create this persona, you know, and position my products or services. So you have to get information from the source if you can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I know you're gonna demo something else now. If you can just save me 3 minutes to kind of do a summary and also for the next meeting. Thank you.
You got it. Yep. Yeah, this is I'm just gonna do this for about 2 minutes. So I use a tool called SEMrush. And this tool here, like I said, is a Swiss Army knife. Now, there's a part in this tool called Content Marketing Toolkit. And if I come over here, you know, I got to drop it down here. So I'm going to go to topic research. Now I use this when I'm trying to develop content for myself and also for my clients. So let's say somebody give me a keyword around a product.
In
Multifamily.
Multifamily?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do multifamily. So what I want to do is I want to look at all the topics around multifamily. And this tool is not only going to tell me what the topics are, it's going to tell me if they're hot and trending, but it's also going to tell me, based on on this card, what are the questions being asked around a specific subtopic in relation to the topic. Now, and I've built ebooks using this system. I've created entire marketing funnels with this process, because there's nothing worse than building a elaborate, gorgeous castle in the middle of the desert that no one's looking for. And that's what happens a lot of times. So let's get this film. So I'm going to do this for a few seconds because I want to give you your chance to get things together here. So come on, open up. Zoom has got me a little slow right now. And see, if this is recorded, I could just fast forward, but that's not the case right now.
Yeah, while it's loading, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
why don't you go ahead, Missy, real quick.
Yeah, you will do it all the time.
Yeah. And then I'll jump back over to it while it's done.
Okay, yeah. I actually want to ask Hamad, because Hamad, you when I talked to you, you were going through, when I talked to you in Chicago, you were going through a lot of exercise trying to get your lead magnets and things in place. And so what were the things that you did with Jimmy? I know it's about lead magnets, and how have you seen that come along and things like that? Just curious.
So I mean, where I utilized Jimmy was to kind of go over my strategy and how to go about doing things, and I kind of did it myself. Jimmy, I need to reach out to you to set up another time and kind of relook at everything I have and see what I need to adjust, etc. That's kind of how I work with Jimmy, and it's a matter of, do you want to put in that much work? Because I put in months of work myself versus spending that amount of money and just having someone do it for you. I definitely see, I know there's probably a lot of gaps there. There's some things that I'm doing wrong, so that's where I need to come back to Jimmy and have him basically do an audit of everything that I have and relook at the strategy and whatnot.
So do you have like let's say if you have three personas, do you have a list of like everything for each persona? Is that what you did?
So yeah, I kind of did and it's on the shared drive. I did 2 personas, which was a corporate exec and a doctor, and I kind of went through, the pain points and kind of what they do, what they don't do, etc., to come up with my avatar.
Interesting. Yeah, if you can link the shared drive link in the chat, that'll be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll put it in the Slack afterwards.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
After the meeting.
And in all your conversations, I wonder about this from the outside looking in. Do the average person understand what multifamily is?
And that's
because everyone understands apartment buildings, but multifamily is a term that the jargon that is familiar with real estate investors. So if you're attracting people that aren't familiar with this investment vehicle, and you throw out the word multifamily, you got to backtrack and explain what the hell multifamily is.
And I love to address that.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely 100% correct. And that's where the buyer's journey comes in that we didn't talk about, because the word multifamily is the buyer's journey is oh my goodness, consideration, decision. The first is this, let's just say discovery, consideration, decision. They're discovering something, they have an issue, they have a problem. So the content that you're producing is the problem or situation that they're in that you're trying to get out of. And then they get to consideration, there's a name. So at the end of what you're describing, the symptoms that you're describing, you're going to offer them solutions. And one of the solutions is multifamily investing. And that's how that's how you have content here. So because you are backing in so you're taking the product that you want to present, and you're going, what's the step before that? Those are the symptoms, the goals, and that's where the problems and the stuff that you're asking them about. So when they're talking about their issues, that becomes the lead in. And that's the content that you're creating keywords around and content around. They find that, they discover that the possible solution is multifamily, they continue down the funnel. Now, so you're going to catch, now you're going to push them down, but then you're also going to catch people who just found out about the keyword multifamily, and they're going to fall into that funnel here. And they're going to continue, and to the point, and the decision is when they made a short list of people they can work with, and now you hopefully are on that short list, and that's how the process will go. So you want to have, and that's where you still leveraging that same persona. You're going to go, I need something at the beginning of the buyer journey, in the middle of the buyer journey, and at the end. And at the middle, you're now using the word multifamily, but before that, you're using very generic terms that's going to lead to multifamily.
Okay, so part of the journey is to obviously figure out their pain points, but then educate them on multifamily being a vehicle to reduce their pain.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't matter what the term is exactly, because through the process they'll get to familiarize themselves with that term if you set up the journey correctly. And then other people are looking for multifamily because maybe they're already seasoned investors. They're looking for another vehicle, another team to work with that are doing multifamily. They'll come in the middle. They'll come in the middle.
Exactly. So let's do this, John. What is a problem that multifamily homes investment solves? And anybody can answer this question.
Well, I can imagine it's, if they're comparing it to, let's say, single family, there's a lot less headaches, having one roof over 100 units than buying 100 individual houses. If you're trying to figure out a real estate vehicle to invest in,
Right. So real estate, everybody gets. So
real estate, everyone gets real estate, but there's obviously retail, there's commercial, there's
So here's what I would talk about.
Yeah.
So here's how I would position it. So this would be top of the funnel. Real estate that gives you a better win with less headaches.
Right.
Now they're going to go, oh, okay, because I want to invest in real estate. And you're going to go, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to go, and by the way, the number one real estate strategy that will give you the biggest return with the least headache is multifamily homes. They're going to go, never knew that.
Right.
And now you're going to give them that next step. Get on a call with me, jump on my webinar, do this or that. And so that's where you're using the problems, or you're using other things that are familiar, that's an obvious next step to go to them. So that's one way. But the other way is problem-based is, I'm looking for a better place to put my money, and so you're going to go look the top 3 places you should be putting your money in 2022. And and they're going, well, I definitely want to know what that is because I need to win this year. And
I've got to back out of the call, Misi, but you're gonna provide this as a video recording. This is all really, really good content. I've got another meeting scheduled, but really appreciate Jimmy.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
This has been great information. I really appreciate your work, and I'll take a look at the video.
Yep, and I'm gonna do this real quick because I know we have to jump off. So for some reason it's not loading, but I just did workplace diversity for someone. And so what happens is it gives me trending topics around that topic. And this is stuff that people are searching on the internet right now. So if I click on, I want to talk about feeling included, I click on here. So the keyword feeling included in relationship to the workplace diversity, these are the top 10 pages for that keyword. But here are all the questions being asked. How important is workplace diversity? Can leaders manage diversity in the workplace? Why is cultural diversity important in the workplace? How questions, why questions, what questions? So now these can be questions I might ask on social media and drive them to a blog post I wrote or to a webinar I'm putting together, because these are questions being asked right now in relationships to feeling included when it comes to workplace diversity. I might go to unique perspective. And the same thing, I get a different group of questions. So now I'm no longer guessing what people are looking for. I'm just going, all right, if they're looking for this, how do I craft this to be the around my product so it's relevant? And I already know that a lot of hands in the room want to know the answer to this question. There's no longer, and this is how I build lead magnets. So I'll create the top 10 things you need to know about workplace diversity. And my topics include the important factors, unique perspectives, socioeconomic status, personal experiences, and embracing diversity. Embrace it. And then from there, I'll pull topics and I'll write and I'll make sure that the content I'm creating addresses some of these questions in relationship to this keyword, in relationship to this topic. Does that make sense? So it can get pretty scientific up in here, but then at the end of the day, I have a client that caters to student athletes that need to transition to the workforce. And we use this system. His ebook is so popular, in one day it did 21 downloads in a single day, and the responses. And then of course we want to be able to reach out and get responses from them on the book, and they find the book incredibly helpful. And what did I do? You don't just provide the content, you provide resources. The value of an ebook over a blog post is a blog post tells you what. An ebook should give you the how. People don't pay for the what, they pay for the how. So what we did with the ebook is we included a paragraph on each of the 7 steps. And then we created a link to resources for each of the 7 steps. So it saves them from having to do it on their own. And then I took it a step further and said, you know what, since we're trying to tell these program directors that we can help their students and help them make sure that the students are better prepared for post-graduation, life after college, because they're not going to be in the NFL or they're not going to be on the USA soccer team. I said, let's include the actual questions we use to create the pages, because now they, as someone who's looking at the article or looking at the ebook, I'm going to go, all right, that's a question I actually have. So if this guy knows the answer to this question, I definitely got to have him in to speak to our student body. So there's so many ways you can create value. And so on the landing page, we didn't talk about the generic stuff that's on there. We put on stuff like, and get the top 25 questions needed that you need to know to help your students to ascend after college. It's in this book, and 16 resources that each student should have access to in this book. That's the value, the how. So I hope that made sense. So I'm going to stop at that point because I could talk about this all day, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. I know it's time, and apparently, your topic is so interesting. There's a lot of people still here. I'll share your contact via to everyone on Slack. So if they have additional questions, they can reach out to you.
Yep.
The big takeaways for me is that I was really surprised when you say the elevator pitch at the end. We're so used to like telling our value proposition right away without really knowing what people's pain points are. I thought that was a really big point, and I need to start focusing on inbound versus just outbound a little bit more as well. Feel free, you guys feel free to share on Slack as well, kind of what their learnings are for today to inspire others in the GLB network as well. I'll share the slides and everything. Next week, we have a surprise related to content marketing as well from one of our GLB members. I'll reveal the secret closer to the date, but it's a very exciting feature that we'll be able to do for content marketing and specifically some of the newsletter as well. So yeah, thank you, Jimmy, again for your time. Is there anything else anyone would like to add before we close?
Where can we get the recording at?
I'll be posting them in Slack. I have access to it in Jim's account. I found it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, but please reach out to Jimmy. He's like, he can talk for this for a whole day if he wants to.
Thank you all. And yeah, you Google my name, I own the top 5 pages of Google. So, it's what I do. So please definitely look up. I do a lot of stuff that do deeper dives into each of these structures. If you go to movingforwardsmallbusiness.com, I've got a number of really cool events in September that I'll be diving into each one of these topics separately. So I look forward to answering any questions, and thank you all for having me here today.
Thank you.
I just wanted to again endorse Jimmy. If you guys are looking for even direction or anything, reach out to him. He'll give you guys so much insights into your business. I would highly recommend it. Like I said, I'm going to be reaching out to you again as well, Jimmy. Thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I learned this. This is clapping.